Welcome to the MCTV Weekly News Update. I'm Allie Reed.
And I'm Jeff Scott. We have a lot in store for you tonight, so let's jump right into our top story. A Chicago grandmother, Janet Strickland, age 64, was recently arrested and charged with commissioning her grandson to kill his grandfather because she was, quote, sick of him. She was charged with 1 count, each of first-degree murder and armed robbery with a firearm. Her husband, William Strickland, was gunned down in front of their home, waiting for a ride to his dialysis appointment on Saturday, March 2nd, by his 19-year-old grandson, also named William. The grandmother was not present at her hearing on Saturday, where bail was set at $500,000. According to the Chicago Tribune, she was held at the hospital and was treated for lung disease and high blood pressure. Assistant State Attorney Jacqueline Quilos stated, quote, "They discussed on numerous occasions killing the victim. Janet Strickland stated numerous times to her grandson that she was sick of his grandfather and that she wanted her husband dead. Janet Strickland considered hiring someone to carry out the hit just days prior to March 2nd. However, the grandmother wanted the murder done quickly. According to the Cook County prosecutors, younger William said he would be one to kill his grandfather. In order to complete the homicide, Janet Strickland allowed her grandson to take her husband's gun and use her car. She watched as her grandson shot her husband 6 times in the back. As her husband was dying, Janet and her grandson stole Mr. Strickland's casino bag filled with money, withdrew funds from his bank account, and went on a shopping spree."
Heading across the pond, a special event in Europe is bringing much lighter news. Feathers did fly this past weekend in Trafalgar Square in London as the English celebrated International Pillow Fight Day. This annual event is celebrated around the world. Other cities included Milano, Chicago, and Rome. Each year, an unprecedented number of people gather wearing anything from pajamas to suits to even masks and costumes. At noon on the dot, all participants wind up and start beating each other with the pillows they've brought. The only rules were to not hit anyone holding a camera or anyone who was unarmed without a pillow. After an hour, the flash mob calmed down in Trafalgar Square and everyone went about their Saturday business. The first International Pillow Fight Day was March 22nd, 2008. It went down in history as the largest flash mob to date. Over 25 cities participated, and it was New York with the largest turnout of 5,000 people. Social networking was the primary means to spread the word about this massive event. My mom was actually in London this weekend when that happened. She sent me a video and everything. I was like, my mom's in there.
She was. Did she fight with the?
No, of course.
Oh.
She's not that cool.
Oh.
But no, she was there, and she was like, it was absolutely amazing. Feathers flying everywhere, and if you look it up on YouTube, you can even see feathers flying everywhere. There's this one guy who's just kind of walking across in a mask. It was a little scary, but.
That's interesting. It's like a safe way to kind of release your anger.
Yeah,
you know?
right?
Yeah.
I thought so. We should have one.
Things are not so nice and feathery in Asia this month. For weeks now, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has been threatening attacks against the U.S. and South Korea. The U.S. has tried to dial back its show of force to keep from making things worse. But both the U.S. and South Korea are preparing in case the North follows through on its threats. Here's CNN's Ki Young-la.
Neighbors of the U.S. Osan Air Base are used to the sounds of military drills. But when the American Patriot missile batteries go up and armed, pointed north to the sky, they know this is not another ordinary maneuver. I feel much more secure with the U.S. Army right next to us, says this Osan business owner, even though North Korea has threatened to attack U.S. bases. The missiles, a sign that the region is ready to counter a possible attack. But it's not just in the military towns. Across South Korea's cities, amid the rush of daily life, visible signs of preparation for a potential disaster.
This is all underground parking.
24 underground locations, and that's just in one district in the city of Goyang, says Lee Gang-il with the city's civil defense unit. This is the city's latest disaster plan, posted at bus stations and apartment buildings.
This sign says shelter in Korean as part of this city's emergency disaster plan. If there is something that happens, the people are supposed to try to get into this and other parking structures in the city. And you can see for yourself, this is several stories deep. It is solid concrete. This is essentially an urban underground bunker.
Most commuters ignore the new flyers and instructions, numb to the threats from Pyongyang. North Korea is just 15 miles away from here. But this woman, born during the Korean War, sees it differently. We already lived through difficult times, and now we have a better life, she says. I'm worried about everything that's happening now. A nation quietly preparing for a just in case for the unimaginable. Kyung-la, CNN, Goyang, South Korea.
Okay, so I don't think that any problems are solved with fighting, so people should just, talk it out, maybe hug it out. What do you think?
It's funny because Obama actually went to talk to the Palestinian and Israeli people about that conflict that's happening between those two countries, and I really think that he needs to be kind of a moderator in this situation as well. I mean, granted, North Korea also has their nuclear weapons pointed at us, but they did say that Seoul was kind of their main target. But as a part of the world police, I really do think that the United States and our chief of staff, our commander-in-chief, has to step in and say something about this, because it can't go on. Nuclear war should not still be happening and threaten it. And, I just don't agree.
I agree. I mean, I don't agree.
Well, obviously. Sticking with international news, a Pakistani journalist risked his life to get an inside look at how the Taliban trains its new recruits. Nick Robinson talks with the journalist and shows us how the Taliban train people to fight and kill.
This is not your normal Taliban video. More misses than hits. Raw recruits struggling to master their weapons.
I captured everything in these videos, their condition of homes, kitchens, sleeping.
He is a Pakistani journalist. Out of concern for his safety, wants his identity kept secret. He tells me the Pakistani Taliban gave him rare access to one of their remote training camps close to Afghanistan, where he saw them preparing for the NATO pullout over the border. A battle, he says, the Taliban think they've won.
They said we have inflicted damages on them, that's why they are withdrawing from the region. They say that is our success, that they are going with failure from the region.
He says he shot this video a year ago, and for the week he was there, he followed 4 young Pakistani suicide attack recruits. The training as detailed as it was long and relentless. Everything from gun cleaning to rehearsing murder while driving in a car. All of it, he says, apparently under American drone surveillance.
Drones were hovering there, but their drones were at good height. There was fear of drone, military operation, everything.
Later, after he left, he says this building was hit in a drone strike, 9 Taliban killed. It's why only a handful train together and why the camps are kept Spartan. But he says it doesn't stop the recruits coming. They say that if the US stay here, we are happy, because we want to fight with them face to face. As US troops draw down in Afghanistan, the Pakistani Taliban are increasingly upping their fight across the border. This is one of their recent propaganda videos shot in Afghanistan. In a barbaric act, they murder a man they claim is an Afghan spy working for NATO. CNN cannot confirm its authenticity. It is a chilling reminder of how once raw recruits honed their skills and how Pakistan's Taliban, emboldened by the NATO drawdown, are flooding more fighters across the border. They have very meager resources, but their determination, when I saw their determination was very high. These raw recruits, just a handful in a gathering storm, ready to take advantage in a battle they think they've won. Nick Robertson, CNN, Islamabad, Pakistan.
Times are tough, not only on the war front, but on the financial front. Portugal's bailout has been blown off course and a political crisis is simmering. It follows a decision by the Constitutional Court to reject some unpopular budget cuts. This is causing difficulty for the government as it tries to comply with terms of its bailout agreement. Isa Suarez reports.
Looking stressed and weary, Portugal's Prime Minister vowed to remain in office and fight on.
We will do everything possible to avoid a second bailout.
Speaking to the nation on Sunday night, Pedro Passos Coelho said Portugal will honour the terms of its bailout and will do so with more cuts.
The government has decided not to increase taxes, but to compensate for the inequality in our budget for 2013, we will have to introduce measures concerning public sector spending, in particular, cuts in expenditures on Social Security, health, and education.
This latest round of cuts comes 2 days after the country's constitutional court ruled that some of the measures in the budget were unlawful. The court struck down plans to cut the pay and pension of public employees, cuts to sickness benefits, and a tax on unemployment subsidies. The government was quick to denounce the court's decision, charging that it had jeopardized Portugal's international credibility.
The government does not agree with the reading of the Constitution of the Republic that the Constitutional Court made in its ruling on some of the measures in the 2013 budget. The position that was approved at the Constitutional Court poses serious difficulties to the country in its strive to fulfill the objectives to which it is internationally committed and the budget targets it must meet.
The ruling will deprive the government of more than $1 billion it needs to fulfill its budget obligations and meet the terms of the bailout. A dire situation that the political opposition quickly moved to exploit.
This gives more strength to the positions of the Socialist Party, which have been calling for the replacement of the government and defending the need to renegotiate the bailout plan.
So to survive economically, the government must find additional sources of revenue. Difficult for a country that is facing its third year of recession and the largest tax hikes in living memory. Isa Suarez, CNN, London.
You know, I think it's actually really, really upsetting to see all of these countries, you know, faltering from such an economic downturn. I mean, the United States went through this in the late 2000s with our recession, and now it's just gotten to a global scale.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like a domino effect. You know, one thing leads to another, and as big as the world is, every country relies on other countries, you know, for financial reasons, and it's horrible that our globe is in like a crisis. It's a global crisis.
Well, if you've been outside, you've probably noticed Marist Beach is officially open. Here with more on the Sweet Spring warm-up is Caitlyn Flynn with our weekly highs and lows report.
Thanks, Allie. Before we talk about the beautiful weather that has dropped into town, let's head to the Midwest, where a major snowstorm is dumping well over a foot of snow in some locations. Areas that can expect to receive snowfall from the snow range from northern portions of New Mexico to Montana and up to into Wisconsin. Wyoming and South Dakota can expect the worst from this blizzard, raking in a potential 2 feet of snow by Wednesday. This weather maker is causing a major temperature contrast across the middle of our country. And temperatures in the low teens today in Colorado were contrasted by highs in the 80s just 2 states south in Texas. So what does that mean for the Northeast? Tomorrow and Thursday, an advancing cold front will push south from Canada, where the front stops will determine local temperatures for the remainder of the week. As of now, the system is expected to stall on the border of Pennsylvania and New York State. Locations south of the front will stay warm, but areas north can expect a chill in the air for the later half of the week. But that's enough talking about snow. It is April after all, and the Marist College campus does not take that word lightly. Check out this photo taken on the green today. Highs made it into the mid-70s, and not even the strong northwesterly wind could stop the party. For tonight, expect some showers late at night with a low of 53 degrees. Winds will die down tonight and stay relatively calm into tomorrow with clouds around and the potential for a thunderstorm. Temps stay seasonable with a high of 70 degrees, and Thursday looks a bit more hostile. Winds shift to east at 7 miles per hour, and we can expect a few isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon. The high will reach 51 degrees, so you will probably want to wear a light jacket. Your Friday looks rainy, but conditions improve as we head into your weekend. Saturday through Tuesday should stay partly cloudy with highs remaining in the 60s. And that's all I have for you tonight with your weekly highs and lows report. I'm Caitlyn Flynn.
Monday was a somber day for the citizens of Great Britain as the first ever female prime minister of the country passed away at age 87. Margaret Thatcher was well known for her political ideology similar to U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Both stood firmly against communism in the Cold War. And Thatcher was also known for implementing conservative politics that led her socialist state into a time of prosperity. She left her position after serving 3 terms in 1990, making her the longest service prime minister. Not all of her time in power went by peacefully. While at a meeting in southern England, the hotel she was staying in was bombed, badly damaging the neighboring room. British Prime Minister David Cameron spoke of her death yesterday.
Today we lost a great leader, a great Prime Minister, and a great Britain. Margaret Thatcher didn't just lead our country, she saved our country. And we should never forget that the odds were stacked against her. She was the shopkeeper's daughter from Grantham who made it all the way to the highest office in the land. There were people who said she couldn't make it, who stood in her way, who said that a woman couldn't lead, and she defied them all.
Thatcher died yesterday following a stroke. She has suffered several others over the past few years, but friends took care to keep her medical condition private. So I think it's pretty sad that she passed away. She was a very powerful woman, but you know, being that she was such a powerful and well-known woman, I think that she left her mark in history and that she will never be forgotten.
It's funny because a lot of people actually were really happy to see her go. There is a site called Is Thatcher Dead Yet? It's been around for about 2 years now.
Wait, I heard of that.
Yeah, and people were like ranting and raving on there about how they were so excited that Thatcher was dead. But I actually have a really interesting story. As I told you before, my mom's in London right now. So she actually, it was late when they found out because they're 6 hours ahead of us. So all of a sudden, I texted my mom. I was like, Margaret Thatcher died. And she's like, wait a minute, what? I was like, you're there. How do you not know this? It was just really, really funny.
So funny.
While Britain remembers a political icon, Hollywood is mourning the loss of longtime Disney and beach movie star Annette Funicello. According to Disney, she died peacefully from complications due to multiple sclerosis at the age of 70. She battled the disease for more than 2 decades. Nichelle Turner has a look back on her life and career.
She became known as America's sweetheart, first capturing hearts in simpler times as a Disney Mouseketeer.
My years as a Mouseketeer were some of the happiest of my life. I had Walt Disney behind me. He was my mentor. To have that man on your side was such a great asset.
Later, she starred in those popular beach movies with perennial co-star Frankie Avalon.
It's just like we're married.
Exactly.
The first, Beach Party, came out in 1963. She made more than 20 movies in all and recorded more than 30 albums, but she downplayed her vocal skill.
32 albums later, I'm still saying I don't sing.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
In 1987, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and went public with her condition 5 years later. She credited friends and loyal fans for helping stand by her.
There were many days when I really had to have a good cry because of the mail and the phone calls I got. Sacks of mail. I just want to make people feel better. And I've had so much contact with people, and we hug each other and we'll have a good cry together. And people don't necessarily put me up on a pedestal anymore. I'm one of them now.
In later years, MS left her confined to a wheelchair, but she remained positive.
If I can't make someone happy, I'm so thrilled, really.
At a tribute to Funicello in 1997, the former Mouseketeer was surrounded, naturally, by her Disney companions.
For every important event of my life, Mickey Mouse is always by my side, and I hope he always will be.
Nichelle Turner, CNN, Hollywood.
So I read on Yahoo yesterday that following Annette Funicello's death, Britney Spears, who was a fellow Mouseketeer who worked with Annette, she was asked by a journalist or paparazzi how she felt about the passing of Annette. Mm-hmm. And Britney was kind of in her own world, I guess. She was like, oh, that's so great. But I know. But But then she later figured out what actually happened.
I mean, I remember loving watching her and Frankie Avalon and all those beach movies during the summer. Oh my goodness, she'll be missed.
I agree. In other entertainment news, Las Vegas went country over the weekend for the 48th Academy of Country Music Awards. Andrew Spencer has a look at the night's big winners in your Hollywood Minute.
The stars of country music and more really put on a show at the ACM Awards in Las Vegas Sunday night. Performers included Brad Paisley and John Mayer, and Tim McGraw and Taylor Swift. Jewel, Kelly Clarkson, and Stevie Wonder also took the stage. Miranda Lambert was one of the night's biggest winners. She got emotional after being named Female Vocalist of the Year.
Thank you so much for this.
She also won Song of the Year and Single Record of the Year for Over You.
As a songwriter, having your songs and your lyrics be recognized by your peers is pretty much as good as it gets.
The award for Album of the Year went to Eric Church. Jason Aldean was named Male Vocalist of the Year.
I'm glad I get to sing for a living. I'm glad you guys dig it.
Fans had the chance to cast their vote for Entertainer of the Year. Luke Bryan, who co-hosted the show with Blake Shelton, took home the top prize.
This is the defining moment of my life, and it means the world to me, and I will never take it for granted. I love you so much.
For Hollywood Minute, I'm Andrew Spencer.
Focusing on your health, the bird flu is a problem that most of us probably think is a thing of the past. However, last week it caused Chinese authorities to kill more than 20,000 birds in a trading zone in Shanghai. The strain of flu, H7N9, has been discovered, killing 6 people in China so far. In total, 14 were infected, ranging in ages from 4 years old to 83 years old. The strain was found in a number of pigeons on sale in the city, and the city is now preparing to close their chicken, duck, geese, and pigeon markets. It is unknown where exactly these infected pigeons came from. Researchers in the U.S. at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention have started work on developing a vaccine for H7N9. Fortunately, there have been no documented cases of human-to-human transmission so far. Most cases of the bird flu in the past have been H5N1 strain, which has infected more than 600 people worldwide since 2003.
In other health-related news, melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer, usually caused by exposure to ultraviolet rays. And even though more people are living after a melanoma diagnosis, they have to be careful, especially when it comes to being out in the sun. Now, a new study finds that many of these survivors still go outside without protection. Here's Holly Furfer with today's Health Minute.
Melanoma can kill, but if people are diagnosed within its early stages, it can be managed. And although most survivors of melanoma stay away from too much sun exposure, new data shows some may not be as cautious as they should be. In a new Yale study unveiled this week at the annual meeting of the American Academy of Cancer Research, doctors have found that more than a quarter of those with melanoma do not use sunscreen when outside for more than an hour, and many still use tanning beds. Investigators looked at data on melanoma protection taken from a large national health interview survey conducted 3 years ago. Of more than 27,000 adults, 171 had a history of melanoma. And although those survivors were more prone to stay in shade and wear protective clothing than those who did not have melanoma, 27% of them said they never wore sunscreen when outdoors on a sunny day. And what was most shocking to researchers is that 2% of those survivors said they still used tanning booths. Study authors believe dermatologists need to stress to their patients the dangers of sun exposure and tanning bed rays. Doctors should make strong pleas to melanoma patients to use sun protection and avoid artificial tanning because melanoma can reoccur and lead to bigger problems. A little something to think about when you go to the beach this summer. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
Our last story for tonight deals with the popular social media monster, Facebook. It's been the stuff of Silicon Valley rumors for years. Now, a Facebook smartphone is a reality. Well, sort of. Karen Kafa explains it in this week's Clicked In.
It's not exactly the blue and white hardware some envisioned.
Today we're finally going to talk about that Facebook phone. Or more accurately, we're going to talk about how you can turn your Android phone into a great, simple social device.
The next product in Facebook's mobile portfolio is new software for Google's Android operating system. They call it Home, and it puts all things Facebook right in your face. Among the highlights, Cover Feed, essentially the site's news feed scrolling on the phone's home screen, and Chatheads messaging, allowing users to continue conversations with friends without leaving the other apps they're already in. It continues the push for users to make as many interactions as possible with the social network.
This has been a long-term goal of Facebook's to really keep you within there and to sort of frictionlessly share everything you're doing with a larger group.
Some mobile users seemed mixed on the idea of more Facebook.
I think it's really interesting because all of our social networking is pretty much going to our phones anyway, so it's a smart move.
I'm an iPhone user and it's really easy to use Facebook anyway.
The software will be available for download on certain HTC and Samsung devices on April 12th. AT&T subscribers also can pre-order the HTC First, a phone optimized for the Facebook Home experience. I'm Karen Katha, and you're now clicked in.
I mean, I guess it's a good idea. I just think that there's so much competition with the smartphone industry. Like, you've got Apple, you've got Droid. I heard Google's coming out with one, and now Facebook. Like, what's going to be the difference?
I know. The shocking thing is I feel like Facebook will succeed because it's such a huge company.
It really is. Everyone says, oh, I hate Facebook. They changed my layout again, all this stuff. Yet we're all still on it.
I know. Well, it looks like that's all we have for you for tonight. Until next time, I'm Jeff Scott.
And I'm Allie Reed. Thanks for stopping by.